All right, we will look at some of the homework from 12.3. We won't look at lots of these as they're all pretty similar. But the first one I want to look at is number 11. Here, it wants us to find the deviation. So this is like step 2 of the standard deviation. So here we go. It says a group of data items and their means are given below. Well, the fact they give you the mean saves you a lot of time. Otherwise, I would have to find the mean first, add up these and divide by 6. But they've already found the mean. So all I have to do is take each of these numbers and subtract 244. So let's see. 164 minus 244. 164 minus 244. So I get a minus or negative 80. And this is what I'm doing for all of these. Okay, 200 minus 244. 240 minus 244. So this is all we're doing. We're just finding the difference of each of these. I guess I could have written out 200 minus 244. First one we got minus 80. This one we got minus 44. 240 minus 244 minus 4. 244 minus itself is just 0. And 260 minus 244. So any of them that are bigger than the mean will be positive. Any of them that are less than the mean will be negative. 356 minus 244. And then in the next part, part B, they want us to find the sum of the deviations. Well, I know that it better be 0. I'm going to check it. We're going to confirm that. But from the notes in step 2, I gave you a fact that the sum of the deviations is always 0. And that is why we square the differences in finding the standard deviation. So I'm doing these numbers. Okay, so I just typed them in the calculator. You didn't need to see that. You can do that yourself, but you know, there I did. And I got 0. So even if I made a mistake here, I know that has to be 0. So if I add those and I don't get 0, well, first I'm going to just put 0 because I know that's correct. And then I'm going to go and figure out where I went wrong. Okay. Now, let's look at number 18. We're going to actually find the standard deviation. All right. So there's some work for us to do. All right. So to find the standard deviation, I first have to find the mean. So I'm going to do this by hand with the 6 steps. Actually, I'm going to also make an observation. If you notice, this is 1, 6, 11. The difference here for each of those is 5. So I'm thinking that's probably what I should get. But let's see what happens. All right, so we have a total of 7 things. So we add these up. Yeah. 42 over 7 Double check that. Anytime I'm adding lots of things, I want to do it twice, and then 42 over 7, of course, is 6. All right, that's my mean. Okay, that's mean. So to find the standard deviation by hand, I did the following. We made kind of a little table. And I did X. So I'm going to do a little row for all my X's. 1. I got 3 1s. 6, which happens to also be the mean. And then 11, 11, 11. With so many repeating numbers, it's kind of nice. I don't have to do the calculation more than once. First thing I got to do is find the deviation. So that's, I'm going to do the value of X minus the mean. Okay, so I got a minus 5. Since these are all the same, 1, 1, 1, these are all minus 5. All right. 6 minus 6 is 0. 11 minus 6 is 5. And then these are all the same, so those will all be 5 as well. So notice, if I were to add these all up, minus 5, minus 5, minus 5, plus 5, plus 5, plus 5, I would get 0. So that's why the next step of squaring all of those differences comes in. Okay? So if you do this in the calculator, I showed you in the notes, if I were to just type minus 5 squared like that, it's going to spit out minus 25. Well, that's wrong. This should be minus 5. I'm squaring the whole thing. Okay. So if you want to do that in the calculator, just put the parentheses in the calculator and then square it. And you get the 25. Well, look, these are all 25. If minus 5 squared is 25, it's always the case. Of course, 0 squared is just 0. And then 5 squared is just 25. All right. That was step 3. Finding those, step 3. Step 4, I actually need to find the summation of all of those. Okay. So step 4 from the notes said the sum of all of those things. Well, I got 6 25s, so if I add those all up, I get 150. All right. That was step 4. Step 5, I need to take this number and divide it by n minus 1. Okay. So I'm going to do step 5. By the way, here n is 7. So 150 over 6, 25. That makes sense because I had 6 of them. And now I take the square root of that, and that's it. It's just 5. So step 6, we're going to take the square root of whatever step 5 was, which is just 5. And that's our standard deviation, S equals 5. Standard deviation, S equals 5. All right. So, yeah, once you have enough practice, you'll recognize that is obvious. The difference is 5. The average difference from the mean is 5. All right. We are going to move on. Oh, actually, what I'll do, I'll show you how to calculate this in the calculator. So let's look at that next. All right, so in the calculator, I'll do it down here. In the calculator, we'll do it kind of briefly. So the first step I have to do, we have to put our calculator in stat mode. Mine is in stat mode, but if I didn't know how, if it wasn't, I would do second data and choose one variable. And then I need to clear my data. So second data, I move all the way over to clear data. Oops. And then I clear the data. Okay. Now I've cleared it all. Now we have to input our data. So go to data. In this case, I have a lot of repeats. The previous ones, we didn't have that. So let's use our repeats. So my first entry is 1. The frequency is 3. Now my second input is, or my next input that's different is 6. The frequency of that is 1. I need to fix something. I pushed calculate too soon. Get back to where I was. And then the third one that's different is 11, and it is a frequency of 3. All right. Now, once I've plugged everything in, I do stat var, and it was pretty quick because it was not much. It tells me n is equal to 7, x bar, or the mean is 6, and my standard deviation was 5. So if you learn this process of the calculator, you'll get through the homework a lot faster. There are a lot of questions in which you have to do earlier steps, like number 11. But if it wants the standard deviation, and if you've learned your calculator, use your calculator. All right. Here I'm going to show you how we can do this and interpret it. And I may just use the calculator again to save time. So these are my values, and then this is the frequency. Okay, so I'm just going to write out what this is. This is my data set, 7. Well, 7 shows up twice, so 7, 7. And then 8 shows up 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 9 shows up twice. 9 is 9. So, that is our data set, 7, 7, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 9, 9. So I'm going to do this in the calculator. Oops, sorry. Let me see. Let's go to, we're in stat mode, that's good. We'll go to second data. All right, just to make sure we were in the first variable. Push data, now I'll start plugging in these. If you want to say 7 frequency 1, 7 frequency 1, you can. But since they repeat, I'm just going to do 7 frequency 2. I should have cleared this out, but since I just did it, and I had only 3 last time, I'll just make sure I don't have any extra. My next one that's unique is 8. So do 8 frequency 6. And then my next one is 9, and it has, I'm messed up. All right. 7 frequency 2, 8 frequency 6, 9 frequency 2. I had accidentally, instead of pushing the down button, I pushed stat bar. Now I'm ready for stat bar. All right, so my n is 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's correct. X bar is 8. That makes sense. And then my standard deviation is 0.67. Okay, because it wants us to round to the nearest hundredth. So we had 0.6666 bar forever. We need to round 2 decimal places. So I stop after 2, then I look at the one to the right, and I round it up. So that's it. All right. And we're about to stop. I'm going to show you how to interpret number 23, but I don't think I'm going to work it out. Just because we just did all these with the calculator. So it's a stem and leaf plot. We need to interpret what this means. So I recommend, in this case, just writing out each entry. So 3, 5. All right, 4, 0, 4, 5. 5, 0, 5, 5. All right, so that's your data set. If you found the standard deviation of that, then we would get the following: 7.91. And I believe that's all the problems I wanted to do from the section I'm looking. Yeah. All right.